So you're probably already thinking of relocating here to Southern California, specifically maybe Riverside or San Bernardino County, because let's just be honest, it's more affordable than any other counties here within the Southern California region. Whether you're trying to look to move to Riverside, Corona, Temecula, Murrieta, Menifee, Paris, Moreno Valley, Lake Elsinore, Wildomar, or in San Bernardino County, maybe you're looking to move in probably Ontario, Rancho, Cucamonga, Fontana, San Bernardino, Colton, Victorville, right? I can go on and on and on and on. Now, the question is whether or not, hey, do you want to buy brand new or do you want to buy somewhat older? Well, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the pros and the cons of buying a newer construction or, hey, settling for resale. Which one is better? Now, I'm going to break it down and give you your options. That way you can really, clarify whether or not buying a brand new home or continuing with the resale is the right move for you. So stay tuned because we're going to get after it right now. Now, if this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything that there is about living, eating, breathing, playing, in the Southern California area, then subscribe below and tap that bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Southern California. Now, my name is Jonathan. We get calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you looking to make their move, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're deciding to move in 9 days or 90 days, you could always give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom down below. We'll love to help you make that smooth move here to the Southern California region in California. All right, so moving on. So there's a lot of factors that outweigh, hey, should I get a newer home or maybe should I settle for resale, right? Especially in times in this market and you're just not too sure what's the right move. Well, I'm really gonna break it down with you with the pros and the cons of whether or not you should get new construction or go with the resale. Now, when I say resale, that just means a house that is not a brand new house, right? It is a home that's previously been bought and lived in, and they're gonna go ahead and resell it for a variety of different reasons, all right? So let's jump in with pro number one. So pro number one for buying new construction, you just need to know that you have customization, right? So you can customize the house to your liking and the way that you want it to feel, right? The way that you want it to live. So if you like hardwood flooring, that is definitely an option. Or maybe you don't like hardwood flooring, you like something a little bit softer because you got kids, you absolutely can do that. Maybe you don't like the basic carpet, right? Maybe you want to update the carpet to something a little bit more bougier. You know who I'm talking about. No, right? Now there's many different options that you can do and customize it that'll make it to your want and your needs, right? If you want to get a newer kitchen or update a countertop, maybe add some nice knobs, or maybe have a covered patio, right? So many different options that you can do with new build. And that's one, big major pro of buying a new build is that, hey, you can customize it to your needs. Now, one pro with getting a resale house is that typically you can get a lower priced home, right? Typically, not all the time, you usually can get a lower priced home, right? Obviously, depending on the market and how things are going, right? But typically you can get a lower priced homes with a resale home. And so that's one major thing to consider, right? Is that you can get a little bit better of a deal here, or sometimes it's the same. And so that's one big major pro, but that's going to cover pro number one for new construction and also resale. Let's move on to pro number two. Pro number two of new construction homes is that you will have some modern features, right? So what I'm saying modern features is that, hey, your HVAC system that, cools down your home, or your furnace or your water heater that gives you the hot water, everything is going to be new. And the home itself, it's going to feel new, right? It's going to have that today type of design. It's not going to feel like a home from the 90s anymore, or a home from the 80s, 70s, etc., etc. So that's one big major plus of a new construction house is that, yes, it will be modern with modern features of today. So you know that everything is upgraded to today's standards and not back to what it was 20, 30, 40, 50 even 60 years ago. So that's one major thing for a newer home, newer construction. With resale on pro number 2 is that you have an established neighborhood, a neighborhood that's been around for 20, 30, 40, 50 years already, and more than likely there's not any type of mellow-roos. Everyone knows each other, everything's right around the corner, the stores, the gas stations have all already been built around it. You have beautiful mature trees. I love that. When I'm driving through a neighborhood and I see 60-foot trees, I'm like, wow, this is an established neighborhood, because the trees are really outgrown already, and it looks so aesthetically, it looks beautiful. I do love that. I don't know, maybe because I'm a kid from LA, that it's been an established city, so I don't know, personally I do love seeing mature trees. So that's one big consideration. Now that's going to cover pro number 2 for new construction and resale. Now let's go on to pro number 3. Pro number 3 with new construction is that you're going to have a lower maintenance, right? Considering that everything is new, right? Of course, you're going to have a lower maintenance cost to your everyday wants and needs. And I know this specifically here in Southern California with newer builds out here, right? Especially if you're looking to move in Riverside or San Bernardino, typically your front yards don't come with much of a grass. And you're really going to have no maintenance in the back, because it's just going to be a dirt lot, because that's how they come. So given that, hey, you're not getting our grass in the front of the yard, right? Usually they give you some type of mulch, right? Something that's very energy efficient or water efficient, given that kind of in the desert a little bit. That is one big major thing, right? And it's, again, low maintenance, because everything is newer. When we're talking about the roof or the flooring and all your appliances, you're not really going to have much maintenance. It's just kind of the keep up, right? Now, when it comes to a resale home, right, one of the big major pro number 3 really for a resale is that it has its unique timelessness, if that makes sense, right? One great thing about resale, personally, I do love, and I own a resale, right, is you kind of get that old timeless feeling in some of these homes. For me, I love character. So uniqueness and character, right? So if a house can give me that old style type of feeling still, like, hey, I'm in a timeless area, like if you have a Victorian style type of home, you're definitely not going to get that with a new build. You just won't, right? Everything is about more modern, more openness nowadays. But if you do like kind of more that older feeling, and you like bigger backyards, etc., and stuff like that, definitely resale will give you more of those options, at least here in Southern California. Now, if you're living in, again, Midwest or maybe the East Coast, that's something different, because I know you get a lot of land out there, right? So that's going to cover pro number 3. On to pro number 4. Pro number 4 with buying new construction, right? And you're going to get, this bottom line, financial incentives. Right, so one big major thing with buying newer home construction is that you get financial incentives. All right, so with financial incentives, typically they do like to give you some type of incentives using their preferred lender, right? Obviously, that's how builders typically make money, but that's okay, because they're giving you something in return. And so with that being said, if you're someone that is like, hey, I'm right there on the pinch line and I might need a couple hundred or couple thousand, one great thing with new construction is if you decide to go with their preferred lender, they might throw something at you, right? So I see all types of things. I've seen, brand new communities, here's 8,000. I've seen another one 12,000. I've seen 15,000. I've seen 25,000, right? I've seen 11,000 plus solars paid for. So there's many different options with brand new communities that can give you that financial incentives so that you can close on your home that you wish to acquire. Now, one thing with resale on pro number 4 here, it's flexible negotiating. It's just bottom line. You can negotiate within resale itself, right? You can negotiate with the seller to A, either knock the price down, B, you can get some type of incentive just like new builds, or 3, you can negotiate for them to fix things for you, right? So there's a lot of negotiating room when it comes to resale. When it comes to new construction, you're getting those financial incentives. So those are the 2 major factors with new construction and resale that can benefit you, greatly. And so that's going to cover all the pros there. Let's jump into the cons of, possibly why new construction or, resale might not be it. And so jumping into con number 1. con number one of purchasing a new home or going the new construction route, right? And that is going to be that it usually does have higher purchasing costs. Yes, it does have a potential higher cost for the reason of that, hey, it's a brand new community. You need to know with brand new communities here in Southern California, 90% of the time, brand new communities are gonna come with a thing called Melrose, right? And typically they do have HOA nowadays. Now, what is Melrose? Well, Melrose is a special assessment tax that gets placed on a brand new community. It's kind of like a bond, right? And within the newer communities, they put this special assessment in there to pay for things such as schools, roads, right? Basically anything that had to do with building that community, you're paying for that over the course of anywhere from 20 to 40 years, right? And so that's one of the things that it is a big thing that you need to know, is that you're usually paying on a monthly level a little bit higher than you are with a resale home. And now there's not a typical range number, but just know that you do have a typical higher cost when it comes to buying a brand new community. Now, the backward to that is that, hey, it's a brand new community. You don't ever have to worry about anybody that's ever been in there, slept in there, breathed in there, nothing, right? Everything is brand new. However, there is a higher cost with that. Now, one of the con number one for resale homes is that you typically have a higher maintenance cost. So yes, there is a higher maintenance cost with resale homes. Again, we already know everything is not brand spanking new like a brand new house, right? You know that you definitely have to maintain all your major appliances a lot more and more frequently, because you want to make sure that they're well taken care of. Depending on the age of the house, right, you definitely need to be aware of major things, and that's why we hire inspectors for. Now, that's just something to consider, is that you definitely have higher maintenance costs when it comes to a resale home than if you were to get a brand new construction home. So that's going to cover con number one. Moving on to con number two. Con number two of buying a new home. It is that it's a limited established neighborhood. So given that it is a new community, it's a limited established neighborhood, meaning that, hey, it is a new community, right? There's not a whole lot going around in the surrounding areas just yet. Know that things take time to build around it, right? So your community might be smack dab right in the middle of nowhere. Well, what you don't know is within the next 5 to 15 years, they're probably going to be building a shopping mall there, or a grocery store, or possibly even a gas station or a convenience store, right? Those take time to build. And so given that, you know, community, it is a little bit older, just know that not everything will be close to you like you wish it was, you know, like a resale home is, okay? Con number two for a resale home is that you have an outdated design, right? So possibly if you bought a home in the 90s or 80s or 70s or 60s or whenever that is not new, right? Just know that your house might be outdated and has an old design. So that's one thing to consider, right? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with the cherry cabinets, or are you okay with the regular oak cabinets, right? Or are you okay with the old shaggy carpet? Or given the fact that the room has like this groovy inside type of lounge area in the middle of the house, right? Because they did that back in the 70s, if you didn't know. It was literally called like a shaggy room. So that's pretty funny. No, overall, yes, it will be outdated. The design will be, you know, pretty much depending, right? Can be more of a 70s or 80s or 90s type of vibe, which a lot of people nowadays love the modern look, right? The openness, because back in the days, houses weren't built like they are today. Today, again, it is about more modern, sleek type open concept where the kitchen is connected to the living area and you can all gather around, speak to each other. You're not really going to get that much with older style types of homes. Everything was kind of more separated, right? The kitchen was the kitchen, the living area or the family room was the living area and family room. Now it's kind of all opened up together. So that's one thing to consider, right? Now that is going to cover con number two. Moving on to con number three. Con number three of buying a newer home, and that is going to be construction delays. Now you may have anticipated and you're so happy that, hey, you know, I bought my home, I'm ready to move in 30 days. You told your employer, you got everything set up, right? You're supposed to close on October 1st, and then October 1st comes around and they're not ready, they're a week or two delayed, right? That is something that does happen frequently, right? There can be a lot of construction delays due to a variety of reasons, and so that's one thing that you always have to be prepared, is that the house may not be ready for the date that you thought it was going to be. And so always being prepared is going to help you in that sense. Now here in Southern California, there's not a whole lot of delays. One big delay that we did have was the rain, right? When there is rain, there's definitely a delay. But here in California, Southern California, it doesn't rain as much. Now, I'm saying that as at the beginning of the year, we had a ton of rain, and guess what? Did delay construction. So that's one thing to always have in mind, is construction delays. Con number 3 for resale is going to be limited customization. Well, granted, I said earlier, with new builds, you can customize the house that you're loving, right? With resale, you absolutely cannot. You do have a limited customization, right? Because when you're buying the house, you're usually buying the house as is, right? You're not buying it with the seller redoing the whole bathroom, right? So that's one thing to consider, is that, hey, you're not gonna be able to customize it up front. That's something that you're gonna have to do once you own the home. And so that's just kind of something that you just need to know. You really won't customize your home to after you move into it, right? Everything's, all your furniture is in there. It can be a bit of a hassle. Trust me, I know, okay? So that's one big major factor. Moving on to con number 4. Con number 4 for living in new construction or possibly buying a new construction, and that is the possibility of snags or really defects, right? So you need to know that, hey, nobody is perfect. Now, given that California has a very, 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 very strict building process, right? And there's so many inspections, right? And I'm not gonna lie, you've probably seen horror stories on TikTok already or Instagram that you saw a house was being built and it's probably uneven or it's all warped in the ceiling or whatnot. Now I'm gonna let you know, here in Southern California, even though we're not perfect, there's so many rules and so many inspections that I'm not gonna say they're perfect 100%, but about 95% of the time, they're actually really good, right? Because again, there's so many inspections that comes with it. Just need to know there can be a defect. But again, there's so many inspections along the way, and you also do a closing inspection that you check your whole house out before you move in to make sure it's okay. But again, something to always consider. There could be possibly a defect. Now, for homes that were built 20 years ago, such as, my house was built 20 years ago, I know when I was doing some work to my home, there was definitely some defects with my home when it was built. And for example, on my home, in one room in particular, I was putting an accent wall in. When they were measuring the accent wall, well, there was part in the room where part of my wall was sagging just a little bit, just because that's how it was built. It was off by like 2 inches, and so they had to remeasure that one specific wall. So that's something to consider. Now, nowadays, the houses are not built like that, but still that's something to be aware of. So that's going to cover con number 1 for purchasing a newer construction. Now, con number 4 for living in resale is that you will have potentially higher energy costs, right? Now, that's just something that comes along with owning a resale home or just a little bit of an older home, is that you might have some higher energy costs. You will, like myself, right? For example, hey, if you bought a house in the 70s or 80s and you have a single pane window, just know they're not as energy efficient as today's modern windows that are double pane and really insulated and sealed really well and properly, right? Just know that, hey, with a older home or resale home, you might have more of an outdated energy efficient home. Now, some of today's homes, when I'm talking about today's homes, I'm talking about brand new homes. A lot of these homes today are Energy Star certified, meaning that they're like really well built for energy savings. They're just a really good energy efficient home. Now, if you're looking to buy resale, that might be one of your caveat, is that, hey, over time, you probably want to make sure that you build your home to be more energy efficient. For example, I have upgraded to double pane windows, and let me tell you, it has increased my actual energy savings by like 17%. So that is awesome. I love it. My house doesn't get as hot anymore. But again, that's something to consider. Now that's gonna cover all the cons for buying a new home or buying a resale, and that's gonna cover all the pros. Now what I wanna do is I wanna share with you a little recap of everything that I just talked about to figure out whether or not, hey, new home or old home is for you. So recap time. Now, hopefully that was some great useful information of whether or not you're deciding to buy a brand new house or a resale home, right? Because overall, there's definitely some pros that outweigh the cons, and there's some cons that outweigh the pros, whether you're trying to buy brand new or something a little bit older. Overall, there's so many ways that you can do it. Now, I know I have my personal preference. I have no issues with resale houses, given the fact that I've owned many of them, right? And I've sold many of new construction, and I love new construction, right? They are amazing because, again, no one's ever breathed in them, slept in them, been in them, right? And you can customize it to your needs, right? However, there is always caveats and give and takes with new construction that, again, I've already mentioned in the pros and the cons. Now, it's the same applies for resale homes, right? If you want to buy a resale home, right, it's so amazing because you're already in an established neighborhood. You probably don't have no Melrose, right? Or maybe an HOA, right? So there's a lot of things that can go into play. It's just whether or not the place is for you. Now, I know a lot of people that are fixated saying, hey, I only buy new houses because I don't want to deal with the headache of fixing something later on. Well, just know that, yeah, it's not going to happen immediately. Over the course of maybe 15 plus years, it will, right? Whether now you're looking at resale, you might be looking to replace something, in 3 years or in 7 years, and not the longevity of a new build, right? Or new construction home, as I would like to say. So again, overall, there's so many different factors that you have to consider when you buy new construction. And so, if you're one of those people that you're probably pinching it and you're right there, you need a little bit of assistance and you just want to go the easier route, more than likely new construction is going to be the way to go because they're going to give you that financial savings. Or if you have badass realtor that can negotiate for you some type of incentives through a resale home, then that's not a bad option to go, right? It's just, again, up to your liking. Hopefully this was useful and you got some clarification of whether or not you're going to go new construction or you're going to go resale. Thank you for watching Living in South California.